How much Coca-Cola would it take to kill you? In the small Mexican town of Chamula, that question isn't just theoretical. It's a matter of life and death. Here, Coca-Cola doesn't just quench thirst. It controls the town's very existence, infiltrating every aspect of life with deadly consequences.
Diabetes is caused by anger and problems in the family.
From religious ceremonies to daily meals, this sugary drink holds an almost sacred status, but it's poisoning the town sip by sip. Chamula's obsession with Coca-Cola is not just a cultural quirk, it's a lethal addiction. Men, women, children, the elderly, and even dogs are hooked. On the graves in local cemeteries, you'll find not just flowers and candles, but also Coca-Cola bottles, honoring the deceased's favorite drink. But beneath the seemingly charming tradition lies a tragic reality. Diabetes is the leading cause of death in Chamula, and every family knows someone who is battling the disease. So, how did this happen? How did one of the world's most recognizable brands turn an entire community, and, to a larger extent, a nation, into soda addicts? And what role did the Mexican government play in enabling this public health disaster? Today, Mexico consumes more Coca-Cola than any other country on the planet. And in many parts of the country, this sugary drink is cheaper than clean water. In this video, we'll dive into the dark side of Coca-Cola's influence in Mexico and explore how a seemingly innocent soda became a silent killer. Coca-Cola's history is rooted in two key ingredients: coca leaves and cola nuts. Yes, the original formula for Coca-Cola actually included coca leaves, the same leaves used to make cocaine. Back in the day, a bottle of Coke provided a mild high along with a sugar rush. But don't worry, today's Coca-Cola is cocaine-free. Or at least we assume so, because the exact recipe remains one of the world's best-kept secrets. But Coca-Cola's recipe is not the focus of today's story. Instead, let's turn our attention to how this iconic brand managed to conquer an entire country and turn sugary soda into a daily staple, often at the cost of people's lives. Let's take a walk through the streets of San Cristobal in the Chiapas region, just outside Chamula. What do you see? Everywhere you look, there are signs, shops, and vending machines plastered with the Coca-Cola logo. If you step into one of these small stores, you'll quickly notice something odd. While there might be a couple of shelves with bottled water, there are entire walls stocked with Coca-Cola. Here, it's easier and often cheaper to buy Coke than it is to find clean drinking water. Why is water so hard to come by? The tap water in this region is almost undrinkable, heavily chlorinated to the point where it smells like a public swimming pool. And if you're lucky enough to find a truck delivering fresh water, there's no guarantee it's safe to drink. So, for most people, the choice is obvious. Drink Coca-Cola.
¿Qué quieres?
Una Coca-Cola.
¿Por qué?
Me gusta mucho.
In fact, many locals have a special deal with the shops. They can return their empty bottles and get a discount on the next one.
Yes, if you return the bottle, it's cheaper.
So if you give them back the bottle, you get Coke again for cheaper.
Yes.
For a population that struggles with access to clean water, Coca-Cola has become the easy, affordable option. But this reliance on sugary soda has led to a deadly consequence. While Coca-Cola is everywhere in Chamula, so too is diabetes. In every family, there's at least one person suffering from the disease, and it has become the leading cause of death in the town.
Sometimes the sadness enters seeing how someone has died. We're all going to go through this process of dying, but level of suffering that diabetics go through, this crosses your mind. I better look after myself.
But here's the irony. The factory responsible for much of this health crisis lies just on the outskirts of town. Since 2001, the Coca-Cola plant has been extracting millions of liters of water every day from the region's underground reserves. Water that could have been used to provide clean drinking water to the local population. Instead, it's being turned into sugary soda and sold back to the very people who need it most. In a bitter twist of fate, many of the workers at the Coca-Cola plant also have diabetic relatives. Yet, despite the growing health crisis, the Mexican government continues to support Coca-Cola's operations. In 2005, they renewed the plant's license to extract water, even as the region's water supply was visibly shrinking. And here's another layer to the story. The small amount of bottled water you do find on the shelves in Chamula, it's sold under the brand name CL, which, you guessed it, is owned by Coca-Cola. So even when people try to drink water, they're still lining the pockets of the soda giant. But Coca-Cola's influence in Chamula goes beyond commerce. It has seeped into the very fabric of the town's culture. For the indigenous people of Chamula, Coca-Cola has become a part of their religious rituals.
Outside is the social meetings, and part of the tradition is like to share some. They are like giving normally posh and coke.
Cuando van a pedir a una chica para esposa de alguien, los típicos refrescos que llevan son Coca-Cola, que son por paquetes.
It's like bringing offerings, yes, and that offerings is Coca-Cola.
During ceremonies, shamans will offer bottles of Coke to the spirits, believing it has healing properties. In fact, some even use it to treat diabetes, claiming that the soda can help cure the illness. One shaman, Maria, regularly conducts rituals to cleanse people of diabetes. She waves a Coca-Cola bottle over a patient while chanting and making offerings, convinced that the disease is caused by anger and family problems, not by the excessive sugar consumption from the soda itself.
This drink has healing properties. You have to drink it to benefit from it. Diabetes is caused by anger and problems in the family. When we scold each other, when we yell at each other, it turns into diabetes. At my age, which is 51, I have never been sick. I've drunk and eaten plenty of soda, beer, and chicken.
It's hard to tell whether she truly believes this, or if it's just convenient for her. But either way, the people of Chamula seem unable to connect the dots between their love for Coca-Cola and their widespread health problems. Mexico didn't always have such a strong connection to Coca-Cola. In fact, it wasn't until 1994, when the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, was signed, that Coca-Cola began to flood the Mexican market. The agreement made it easier and cheaper for American companies to do business in Mexico, and Coca-Cola took full advantage, ramping up production and slashing prices. But in the case of Chamula, things went even further. In the 1960s, Coca-Cola launched aggressive marketing campaigns targeting the indigenous population. The ads were tailored specifically to these communities, making Coca-Cola a symbol of modernity and progress. As a result, the people of Chamula became some of the brand's most loyal consumers. Today, the average person in Chamula drinks 5 times more Coca-Cola than the average Mexican. And the toll on their health is staggering.
Bebé al día. 3. ¿Cada día? ¿Cuántos litros en este?
2 litros y medio.
2 litros. So, bebe 2 litros al día. Sí, big old 2 liter right here. ¿Cuántos litros al día?
2 litros.
2 litros.
Como 1 litro.
1 litro cada día.
Sí.
Yet, even as diabetes rates skyrocket, Coca-Cola's grip on the town and the country remains strong. In 2007, Coca-Cola partnered with the Mexican government to launch a program called Puente a 100, or Bridge to 100 Years. The initiative encouraged Mexicans to exercise more, with the idea that physical activity could offset the health risks of consuming sugary soda. But as any nutritionist will tell you, no amount of exercise can compensate for a diet loaded with sugar. And the program did little to change the country's eating habits. To make matters worse, the president of Mexico at the time, Vicente Fox, had a close relationship with Coca-Cola. Before entering politics, Fox was the head of Coca-Cola's Latin American division. He even admitted that his first campaign funds came from the corporation. So it's no surprise that during his presidency, Fox extended Coca-Cola's license to extract water, despite the growing water scarcity. In a country where 90% of the illegal drugs sold in the United States pass through, it's ironic that Mexico is also a conduit for another type of addiction. Only this time, it's legal, sweet, and fizzy.